She got a Filipino girl that she claims as a friend. I tell you boys, you just gotta laugh. Now I used to call her city, she changed her name to Sam. I guess that's a neighborhood game. Yeah, I really used to love her, but the kid that she discovered, it's gotta be a sexual thing. Now all around the world, I guess where the goes, it's the same old situation. It's the same old ball and chain. I say no, 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 no. Come on. Now check this out. Introduce me to a lover in a cellophane dress. Then it beat me, I sweet that well. Last time I saw them, they were kissing so soft into the sound of wedding bells. Well, all around the world, I guess we'll be girls.
Okay, children, let's take our seats.
Yeah, baby.
We'll do it live. F*** it.
Okay. I literally just sat down. Literally, I just sat down. And the studio audience is just enraged. Just a crazy studio audience. Welcome to a whole new week of Godless Universe live. You know, someone asked me. So you know, I was talking about the Godless Universe and like the whole, you know, what we do live. It's like an hour and a half, 4 days a week. And they say, "Oh, is it religious?" No, it's not religious. It has nothing to do with like nothing. Sometimes, you know, it's kind of. And I thought, well, okay, how would I explain, you know, the 1 hour live show, the Godless Universe? Let me pull myself up. Oh, jeez. I think I lost like 4 pounds just running around the last few minutes. And basically, so it's like, and I kind of thought about it, and it's a science show. Like, obviously, you know, because I like science, and this is, you know, the long form videos are mostly what I do. There's some history in there, a little bit of philosophy. We just released an Avatar video on their tech, on their science tech, on their space tech, how the Avatar spaceships get from Earth to Pandora, and it's absolutely wild. I mean, it's the full story. I haven't even dug into it 100% because it's a 3-parter in terms of what Avatar, the space tech for Avatar. So that is so basically, I told it's kind of like a variety show, I think, because it's something like it's like there's like you kind of want to touch on everything, right? Like. I mean, at the end of the day, your show can be as techie, as deep into science or whatever you're doing, and if you're not entertaining, what does it matter, right? Like, what does it matter? That's kind of like the whole thing. So, so anyway, yeah, the kind, I remember happy Thanksgiving week. That's the I think that's the big thing for the week, right? It's Thanksgiving week in the United States. Well, if you're not in the United States, it's not Thanksgiving. So if you're in Europe, Canada, Australia, anywhere else in the world, except the United States, I had these. So when I had my business in Los Angeles, that I ended up packing up, selling it. Like so many people in Los Angeles got seriously, so many people got wiped out. And so I had a lot of employees, and I remember this one employee. I mean, she was adorable. She was a good worker. I mean, adorable, but she was from Peru. I believe she was from Peru. No names. And we were talking about something about being, illegal, working illegally and everything like that. And somehow, I think I told her like I was an EU citizen, Canadian citizen with a visa in the United States. I had all these citizenship, like go all over the world, and she said, well, maybe I'll probably go. Yeah, I'll go work in Canada one day. I said, well, no, yeah, I mean, you can't go. You just can't go work in Canada. I mean, if you're not a citizen of Canada or the EU or wherever, or you just can't go work there. You're going to be illegal. And she was kind of like, what do you mean illegal? I can't be illegal. I'm an American. It was like, oh, no, you can. You can be. If an American goes to work in Canada, she was adorable. But she learned something that day. And probably, I think, maybe I even learned something that day. So it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. So on Christmas Eve, I don't know what you guys are doing on Christmas Eve. We are going to be live for 4 hours on Christmas Eve. Basically, I have no family. I don't really. I mean, I do love Christmas. I love the lights. I love the trees. I love everything about it. But if you're not doing anything on Christmas Eve and you want to hang out, you want someone to hang out with, I will be live for 4 hours on Christmas Eve. Yes, 4 hours on Christmas Eve. What are we going to do? Lots of random stuff. A lot of random stuff. You know what you got to always do? Like when you're doing these live broadcasts alone, you've always got to look to make sure you got the volume going and everything is like the number of times you get like I've been caught once already. 10 minutes into the show, I read the comments and it's like, oh, shoot. The mic's not on. It's kind of, it does ruin the show. I mean, it really does. So Christmas Day, if you're not doing anything on Christmas Day, 8 hours. I'm going to be on for 8 hours. I don't know what I'm going to do for 8 hours, but I'll probably make most of it up as I go along. I am going to go into the historical Jesus. Historical Jesus was like the real, was he real or was he not? And I've done a couple of videos on it. I mean, there isn't a lot of real evidence to suggest that, you know, Jesus was real. Unfortunately, for all the people who are, you know, religious and take, you know, the Jesus as being the Trinity, right? Do you know there's I'm not going to get into it. Maybe on Christmas I will. On Christmas I will. But on Thanksgiving, guys, on Thanksgiving, I am going to go live for 4 hours as well. Where did I write that down? Wrote that down. Oh, yeah, 6 to 10. 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Thanksgiving, if you're not doing anything. So that's this Thursday is Thanksgiving. 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern. December, that's next week, December 1st to December 4th. Next week, guys, is we're doing the Underworld series, December 1st to December 4th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Each night there's going to be a new Underworld movie because I like me some Kate Beckinsale. I do. So tomorrow, guys, and this kind of like leads off of today's topic. On the our main topic is the Avatar propulsion system. Of course, Avatar Fire and Ash is out. Was it December 19th? December 19th it's out. So I'm doing all these propulsion systems with all the great sci-fi movies, great sci-fi TV shows. And of course, you got to do Avatar, right? So we are going to, so I released the video today. It's out there. And today we're actually going to go through it and go through Avatar's propulsion system. The Avatar propulsion system. So that's going to be later on in the show, and then tomorrow, which kind of leads into cryogenics. The idea, what's it called? I know I wrote it down wrong. It's not cryogenics. It's the idea of putting freezing cryo. There's so many like cryogenic. No. It's the correction of low temperatures. Oh, would you freeze yourself? I mean, if you were going to, like, a lot of people, I think there's thousands of people that are actually cryonics. That's what it is. Cryonics. Damn you, Superman. Damn you. Cryonics. There are a lot of people who are actually frozen. And tomorrow we're going to go through how the process works of freezing yourself. You'd be surprised. China is big into it. I think bigger than North America. But you know what? If you got a ton of money, right? And you're, unfortunately, if you're nearing that kind of, for whatever reason, well, you got nothing to lose, right? There's nothing to lose. You can't take the money with you, right? I mean, what happened here? Something, oh man. So if you can't take it with you, if you can't take it with you, would you freeze yourself? So money is not an object. You've got 5 days to live. Would you freeze yourself? But you got to think, so on the Avatar ship, as Avatar is flying from Earth and it's going to Pandora, would you go from Earth to Pandora? That's the question. Would you fly? Would you make that trip? Because even though with relativistic speeds associated with going 0.7 times the speed of light, you're going to be sleeping for 9 years. 9 years. So 9 years will go by, and then on Earth, 13 years will go by. So you're gonna make up 4 years just on going 0.7 times the speed of light, but you will lose 9 years of your life. That's for most people. That's going to be 12% of your life. Would you do it? Would you do it? Now, if it's cryogenics and you're nearing the end of your life, and you got a lot of money, I think it's only like $250,000 to do it. Would you freeze yourself? It doesn't seem like a bad idea. Like you kind of like, I mean, you're playing the lottery, but it's $250,000 is like nothing if you're Elon Musk or something. I don't know. Just so tomorrow we're going to get into that. We're going to dig into AI robots. And also later in the week, probably on Wednesday, I got to do the Kessler effects. I've been talking about the Kessler effect. And last week, I said I was going to do it last week. So probably I'm thinking it's something, the Kessler effect or the Kessler syndrome, that a lot of people call it, both are applicable, is such an important thing. Like, for example, Tesla is putting up, I think they got approval for almost 46,000 Starlink satellites. I mean, 46,000. And all of these things go up at various orbits, right? There's a huge array of different orbits. I mean, they're fairly much lower Earth orbits than most things. But when you take a look at how much stuff, eventually, because there's a finite amount of space, there's going to be so much junk. Yes, some of it falls down. But the Kessler effect suggests, basically with the movie Gravity, right? You have got so much stuff up there in orbit. If Elon Musk is going to launch 46,000 more Starlink satellites, I mean, what does that mean? So, the Gravity showed it pretty good. It was a pretty good display on how the Kessler effect is going to work. But if the Kessler effect happens, the Kessler syndrome, we will literally be put back into the Stone Age. Like it's horse and buggy, and it's not out of the question. It is not. I was going to hit a button. Do you boo that? Do you applause that? Do you laugh it? I don't even know what you do. Maybe
let's make lemonade.
Maybe you just make lemonade at the end of the day. I don't know. So, so I brought this up because I was in the conversation. I had a conversation with someone about, gonna have a little bit of vino. Ooh, I'm having white wine today. I usually don't have white wine. It's only half a glass. Actually, it might even be less than half a glass. But so I was doing the question of homeschooling. And every time I hear someone about homeschooling, like Will Smith did homeschooling with Jay, and I'm thinking, are you guys qualified to do homeschooling? Like, if you've got to learn science and math, like, what do you teach? Like, what do most of these parents teach when they're doing homeschooling? I mean, nothing against parents, but I I doesn't seem that a whole lot of parents would be qualified to teach even grade 10 or 11 math, grade 9 math, geometry. We did a lot of geometry in grade 9, I remember. But there was one person that is a high profile person that did do, where is it? Overlay. That's what I want. One of these. It was, yes. It was our good friend. It was our good friend, Katy Perry. And, hey, granted, she's very successful in life, right? She's very, very, very successful. But most people who are homeschooled, such as Katy Perry, is not. And there was, you might remember on Neil deGrasse Tyson's show, this little clip that came out.
So there were no science teachers or math teachers?
Oh, hold on a sec. Let me get rid of the... So you might remember that this was one of those things. This was a few years ago. But something like this, you never live down. Like, people will always remember this. This is not something that is easily forgotten.
So there were no science teachers or math teachers that had any influence on you?
No.
Positive or negative?
No, not in particular. I wasn't ever good at math. I was always promised.
The thing is, she was homeschooled, so I don't even know why she didn't say that. There's math teachers. Her parents, because I guess they traveled a lot, her parents were pretty hardcore pastors, right? Pretty hardcore. But I don't think she had any, she got pulled out of school early on. But anyway, whoops.
Any influence on you?
Let's keep going.
No.
Positive or negative?
No, not in particular. I wasn't ever good at math. I was always promised no math. There will be no math on this show.
That's probably Katy. What is 3 times 2? 3 times 2? Hurry up. What is that? 3 times 2. It's probably not nice.
So
Maybe by the end you'll be good at it.
I
Here it
know.
comes. Here it
And
comes.
then, is math related to science?
Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Is math related to science? That's the one. I remember. I believe I was watching this live, and I was like, "What? Do I have? Wait, this is."
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
That is. I mean, Katy. Granted. Okay, so here's the thing. She's homeschooled, right? I'll play it one more time.
So
Maybe by the end you'll be good at it.
I know. And then, is math related to science?
It's adorable. Is math related to science? It is probably says a lot about the state of the United States education system, right? I mean, it really does. I know in California, I spent almost 20 years in Los Angeles. The education system there, if you take a look at the specifics, you could break it down by demographics, you could break it down by race and whatnot. And it doesn't matter how much money you throw at the problem. It does not matter. It's cultural, right? Asians tend to have a very strong inclination towards education, right? That's just a matter of fact. The less your culture values education, I'm sorry, man, you gotta like, and I don't want to say pull yourself up by your bootstraps because that's a little cliche, but with Katy, a young lady, here is, and this is, how does, hold on a sec. Okay. I got to remove that. Yeah, that's what I got to do. Okay. Then I got it. There we go. Okay. So she's you know what? I mean, for the most part, I think she's a nice young lady. I think, I don't know. Who the hell am I? I just know. So you ask yourself, we're on, how did that happen? Hold on a sec. That cryogenic freezing, that's a totally different. Evidence, major crime. Katy Perry, there she is. Oh, shoot. Okay, wait a sec. Oh, I see what's going on. Never mind. That's my mistake. So Katy Perry was homeschooled intermittently during her childhood because her parents were Pentecostal pastors, moved frequently to start new churches. Her education was a mix of this homeschooling, religious private schools, and formal schooling. Now, this was only because I had a conversation with someone about homeschooling, and I was like, man, I consider myself to be fairly well versed in math, science, but I know I would question whether I would be good enough at these things to school my own child. Ultimately, she dropped out of high school at age 15 to pursue her music career, which for her was a good choice. But she's 1 in 100,000, right? She's 1 in 100,000. And what I do not like, every time they show, oh, I follow my dreams, it's an NBA player or whatnot, why don't you show the other like 30, 50,000 guys that didn't make it? What are they doing? It's great showing the 1 out of 50 or 100,000 people that make it. But anyway, I'm not sure if there should be some rules around that's what I think. That's the point of this. It's like there should be some rules to homeschooling. Intermittent homeschooling due to her parents' work. Perry's family moved frequently, and she was sometimes homeschooled when she was pulled out of school. From what she says, she was pulled out often, but I don't know, religious schools. She attended various religious schools, including Paradise Valley. I don't know these schools. Stunted education. Perry. Oh, yeah, and she has stated that the frequent moves and constant changes made her education stunted, and that she didn't always have a great formal education. Granted, for her, things worked out pretty good, right? She's massively successful. Dropping out, she dropped out of high school during her freshman year to focus on her music career. But anyway, that's Katy Perry, right? I don't know. And it's the whole question of homeschooling.
Math is the language of the universe.
Is math related to science?
Math is the language of the universe.
Numbers.
If you want to go to China and speak to Chinese people, you learn Mandarin
Yeah.
Okay. Go to Spain, you learn Spanish.
Yeah.
You want to go to the universe, you learn math. It's that simple. It's that straightforward.
I know that people have done this before on your show.
So that's enough of that. So I wanted to pull out a good example, and I thought the Katy Perry thing is math related to science. Katy, you're adorable. Guys, hey, don't let your kids drop out of school. Don't. No homeschooling. No homeschooling. I think Will Smith's kids are evidence of... anyway. So I'm doing 5 news items, stories in 5 minutes. I got all these things collecting on my desktop. I am going to stop screen. I'm going to remove from studio. And so these are 5 news stories. So I got all these news stories that accumulate on my. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put these news stories out. Look at all the advertising. Oh, there we go. I just clicked on advertising. Yeah. Just sickening. There we go. So these are a bunch of space. So base.com. I get so much of this. Hold on a sec. Let me put that on there, my friends. So these are. I have so many things open on my desktop, and they're like a whole bunch of science stories. So I want to go through 5 of them really fast. Go through the headline, go through 1 or 2 paragraphs, because some of this stuff is uber cool, man. Can I get rid of some of this advertising? Holy space.com, help me out. There we go. Evidence of ancient life on Mars could be hidden away in colossal water-carved caves. I've always wondered, have you ever wondered that? How would you know? Imagine if our solar system had 2 Earths. Could you imagine if Mars actually developed and there was a full ecosystem full of life just like Earth, or even a fraction of Earth? What would we think, right? Obviously, the answer as to whether intelligent life or life, maybe not intelligent life, but life could easily pop up in more than one planet. All we got to do is find a little bit of evidence that there is, where'd that go? There we go. Life on Mars. Skylights opening on the surface of Mars that descended down into caves have been found on Mars, along with signatures for the presence of water ice. Possible giant karstic caves that formed when slightly acidic water dissolved bedrock have been identified on Mars and hailed as one of the best locations on the red planet to search for preserved biosignatures. With the expected technological advances in the coming decades, we have the 2 satellites going, the ones that were just launched by Blue Origin, by the New Glenn. Thank God it was the New Glenn rocket, because that other phallic symbol rocket is, oh, you know, yeah, just, I don't know. Yeah. The caves in the Herberus Vallis region between the extinct volcano Elysium Mons and Utopia Planitia in Mars, northern and mid-latitudes, are revealed by 8 skylights, which are holes in the ceiling of the caves that are visible on the surface as pits ranging from tens to over 100 meters across. The skylights are distinguishable from craters because they don't possess raised walls or splashes of ejecta around them. It is thought that the skylights form when the blah, blah, blah. The point is, so you go further down, and the idea is that these caves on Mars, and I think that's what we're looking for, the fact that there was life on Mars at one point in time, how robust was it? And if it was anywhere near, close, or even a fraction of what's on Earth, game changer, my friends, game changer. The next one, am I doing this right? Is the next one up? Oh, it is. Yes. Aging stars destroy their planets more often than we thought. What does this mean for Earth? So first off, it doesn't matter. We will be long gone when the sun decides to go red giant and destroy our Earth. I don't know why. Sometimes I think some people make too much of a big deal out of this, but we expected to see this effect, but we were still surprised by just how efficient these stars seem to be at engulfing their close planets. And that's basically with like a star our size, which is a main sequence star, near the end of its life, it loses, it burns everything off. All the helium goes into hydrogen goes into helium, and it continues down and eventually gets to oxygen. Eventually gets to iron. When it hits iron, it's done for, right? And that's when it starts to expand, just like Betelgeuse. So many ways to explain that one. Using NASA's Transmitting Exoplanet Survey satellite tests, astronomers have discovered that aging stars in their so-called red giant phase are even more destructive to their orbiting planets than previously suspected. What does this tell us about what will happen to Earth and the rest of our solar system when the sun undergoes this violent transformation? Well, what it does tell us, looks like the Earth is pretty much screwed, right? And that is what entropy does. Entropy will always win in this universe. Our sun will destroy us. Our sun will destroy itself. It's going to be a white dwarf one day. 6 billion years from now. Of course, I don't think anyone expects to live 6 billion years, so who cares? Next one. And I make sure, did I say, oh, it's working? Okay, I'm getting used to this stuff. Does quantum gravity exist? A new experiment has deepened the mystery as physicists search for a theory of quantum gravity. New results show that classical gravity can still interact with quantum fields to allow matter to become entangled. And this, of course, I think, this actually is really important because they're looking for the theory to everything, right? Because gravity in the quantum realm and gravity in the big realm, so to speak, does not jive, right? The theory of relativity does not work in the quantum realm. And so as new discoveries suggest, gravitational fields can enable matter to become quantum entangled. And that's even if the concept of quantum gravity does not exist. The idea comes from 2 London-based physicists who are challenging the way we think about quantum fields and how classical gravity operates. The search for quantum gravity, and it's a big thing, it really is the next big step in physics as researchers seek to unify the physics of the very small with that of the very large. Quantum mechanics explains the former, while general relativity theory, which famously describes how gravity works in the big world, explains the latter. Both quantum physics and the theory of general relativity were products of the first quarter of the 20th century, but 100 years later, scientists are still none the wiser as to how the two can be unified. As it stands, the theories contradict one another. maybe there is no way to unify them. Maybe that's the theory to everything, is the fact that you get to a certain point, the laws become a function of the fabric of space-time at a micro level, tiny level. And at a certain point, the laws change. We'll have to see. I don't know. You look at story number 4, that you look at Space Telescope. This is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Euclid Space Telescope observed 1.2 million galaxies in just 1 year. 1.2 million galaxies in just 1 year. Here's what we've learned. The data is starting to reveal how galaxies and their black holes evolve. But basically, this is one telescope. The density of stuff in our universe is absolutely insane. It's crazy. After only 1 year of operations, the European Space Agency's Euclid mission has begun to unravel the mystery of why galaxies take on different shapes and how these different shapes relate to each other. Answering this question involves tracking how galaxies and their central supermassive black holes grow together over time. Now we're getting a little bit deeper into that, but the takeaway to this is one telescope observed 1.2 million galaxies. That is insane. And our 5th news point, the solar system may be racing through space 3 times faster than expected. Is the standard model of cosmology wrong? We probably got a lot of things not exact, but anyway, the fact is that we're racing through our galaxy at 3 times the speed that we thought we were. So basically the sun is moving, and in our planet, we're moving along with it. I mean, I don't know. It's 90 something odd thousand miles per hour or something like that. It's a very fast speed. So if our solar system is indeed moving this fast, we need to question fundamental assumptions about the large scale structure of the universe. And of course, it's a great picture. Hey, it's a great picture. That's a good looking solar system, isn't it? That is a good looking solar system. Any damn rates. Astronomers have discovered that the solar system may be moving through the cosmos over 3 times faster than was previously theorized. The discovery could have implications for the standard model of cosmology, our current best model to explain the structure, composition, and evolution of the universe. The team behind this research reached its conclusion using the low-frequency, low-far radio telescope network. It is crazy how many telescopes are actually out there and 2 other radio telescopes to map the distribution of radio galaxies, which they then use to measure the motion of the solar system. Radio galaxies are galaxies that emit unusual strong radio waves from lobes that extend well beyond their visible structure of stars. So anyway, that is the takeaway, that we are racing through space 3 times faster than expected. And that is, my friends, 5 news stories in 5 minutes. I know. I think I took a little bit more than 5 minutes, didn't it? Yeah, that's the other thing that I found interesting, though, and it's kind of a news piece from Amazon. I don't know if you guys saw this. Amazon expects to cut 600,000 jobs, and it's directly related to AI and automating their warehouses. 600,000. So, and it's a little video. I'm going to pull this up. Where is it? Amazon. There it is.
Morning concerns that.
So this is, and the problem with AI, and of course, I use a lot of AI in like to do a broadcast like this by yourself. AI makes it possible, right? But also it's destroying Hollywood. You don't have to have a $1 million production to do a minute of video. Now you could type in some prompts, and over the course of a day, you could probably get something that is equal to, well, a fraction of the cost. Something that took an entire film crew to put together. I know grips. I know directors. I know color specialists, editors in Hollywood. I lived there for almost 20 years. that will never get a job again unless they learn something else, unless they learn something in AI. The best thing to become is a robot repairman. If you want to do something, become a robot repairman. I even think one day that plumbers and stuff like that. I'm doing a video on AI robots, and within 1 year, you will be able to buy a robot for around the house. 1 year, and this robot will do everything, almost everything, for less than $10,000. If you're a cleaning person, a maid, any sort of support staff, robots will replace you. Where this is going, most people don't know or understand. But anyway, this is exemplary. The Amazon situation. The fact that, imagine if most of their warehouses become fully automated, right? Fully automated. Fully automated. You place an order and robots and everything just go with it. It's not, you know what? I had a business in Los Angeles and I do write code. Well, CSS, HTML. It took a while to learn, but of course now you could chat GPT, a Gemini. They'll write the code for you. How many years were we told, or people were told, that if you want a really safe job, you learn how to code. So people spend 4, 6, 8 years getting a master's and whatnot. Then they get laid off, right? Then they get laid off. Yep. It's because code is logic based. So if you write code, something that is even more logic based is, a computer and AI. So everything that I learned on the coding side was basically, mind you, I had a 20-year hairstyle, but basically it's useless. The coding stuff, I can punch into ChatGPT and I can get that stuff out a lot faster than I could me trying to pound out some UI stuff for a website. But anyway, this is an interesting...
This morning, concerns that Amazon, the second largest private employer in the country, is planning one of the biggest workplace transformations in modern history.
In a fulfillment center, the Cardinal robot will pack packages into carts.
The New York Times, citing leaked documents, reports Amazon expects sales to double by 2033, growth that would normally require 600,000 more.
There you see a person pushing a cart in an Amazon warehouse. I mean, that is so efficient. And I've had businesses my whole life. Even my last business in Los Angeles, I had, there's times I had quite a lot of employees. And unfortunately, the weakest part usually is employees. You got your employees coming in at 8 o'clock. And then you just look at your cell phone waiting for the phone calls to saying, I have a tummy ache. AI robots will never call in sick. And in California, they'll never sue you, which is obviously a huge problem for California businesses. Because in California, employees are given a baseball bat to go after, and they just lie their ass off in California. They just lie their ass off. I know so many people have been put out of business because of frivolous lawsuits. Well, you know what? AI robots, they don't get lawyers, or maybe they will. Are there going to be like AI, like lawyers for AI robots? They become sentient. Was that going to happen? I mean, if we don't know what's going to happen, are there going to be lawyers for robots? Are robots going to be going on strike? I don't know.
More workers. But the company is reportedly looking to fill those jobs with robots and automate 75% of its operations.
We could do this with our robot. We could do this with our technology. That's what we're going to do.
In the near future, Amazon reportedly estimates automation could help it save more than $12 billion.
I would argue that number is way higher. Way higher. That might be just surface level. But when you take all of the costs of human beings, all the costs, from legal to training, to facilities, it's going to be a lot more than that.
And shave about 30 cents off each item it ships. In a statement, Amazon said the leaked documents reflect the perspective of just one team and don't represent our overall hiring strategy, adding that the company is actively hiring and plans to fill 250,000 positions for the holiday season.
250,000 positions this holiday season. They are temporary jobs. They are only the jobs that they need filled until they can get some AI role. And look, man, business has got to do what's best for business, right? Business is not there. But this has happened. The internet came in. I mean, it was supposed to, wipe out millions of jobs. That actually created more than it made. Robot repair people. Do you know how much money robot repair people are going to make? It's going to be like the air conditioning, elevator repair people of the next generation. If you have kids and you want them to have forever jobs, get them into robotics and repairing robotics, or like a heavy duty mechanic. That's where you go. Because I'll guarantee you, man, work around the house, building a fence, fixing this and that. Remember the South Park episode that they were talking about how the handy guy will get replaced too. Believe me. We're going to do a show on robots, the Tesla robots, all these different robots, these Chinese robots that are doing stuff around the house that will blow your fucking mind. And they will fix shit better than humans.
One of the things that we've been proud of over our 10-year history is the ability to develop robots that work well alongside people.
It comes amid growing fears of technology replacing human workers. The so-called godfather of artificial intelligence has been sounding the alarm.
If I worked in a call center, I'd be terrified. If I was someone like a legal assistant, a paralegal, then...
This guy is awesome. If you want to see some great YouTube videos...
Not going to be needed for very long. For mundane intellectual labor,
watch Jeffrey
AI
Hinton
is
videos.
Just going to replace everybody.
Well, Amazon has said it's busy training human workers for high-paying jobs that will include working with robotics.
This morning, concerns that...
The last thing Amazon cares about is human beings. The last thing they care about is human beings. I mean, that's not their job to care about human beings. Companies... I mean, I worked on Wall Street for a lot of years, right? You cannot expect a company to care. Their job is to facilitate a much larger bottom line. And whatever way that's achieved, that's the way you got to go. Otherwise, this system's not going to work. Otherwise, you go to, hey, man, I was born, like I said, I've said this before, I was born in Czechoslovakia. If you like communism, that means you like having meat 4 times per year. I came to the shores of Vancouver when I was 9 months old. My parents used to tell me about the horse would die. Well, you cut up the horse for meat. Even the dogs, whatever it was, back in Soviet Union, if something died, rabbits. You went out in the woods, you try to catch rabbits, ducks. My mom, oh, jeez. Anyway, capitalism works. And how AI and the idea that Amazon is going to lay off 600,000 people, it's very true. Their warehouses will be fully automated. Amazon will have fully automated warehouses. Warehouses don't strike. Warehouses don't want to form a union. Or robots, though, at least not right now, as far as we know. It will be interesting to see if one day robots become intelligent, that they start unionizing. Mind you, there was another news story that came out. A whistleblower who came out and he said that, and I forgot the robot company. It's part of the research that I'm doing, that the robots could easily fracture a human skull with their hands. I mean, that's kind of scary, right? A robot that can crush a human skull, basically. I mean, what do you say to that? So yeah, he's a whistleblower. He got fired. He's suing the company. Where does all this stuff go? Right? We're at the first inning of all this stuff. People, over 2 million plus people have lost their jobs. They don't even count the gig workers, right? So all the unemployment news that you get has nothing to do with all the gig workers. If someone is working 1 hour per week, They're counted in the unemployment numbers as employed. Yeah, that's gainfully employed. What you get? What, 2? You got 2 hours this week. What are you complaining about? The robots got even less. Well, the robots got more, that's for sure. Guys, it's going to be a complicated world, and there's a lot of people that are not going to have a Merry Christmas. But I guess you got to stay strong, Matt, right? I've been through a lot of, the last 2 years of my life, man, it's been freaking hard. Still is hard. Go start a YouTube channel, see how that works out. It takes 2 years before you get anywhere. You know, it's everything right now is hard. And because you have a world that is more and more dominated by machines, it makes life and living harder for humans. It's a problem. It's a big problem. Okay, so do we need some levity? We need some levity, don't we? You want to see? I know. You want to see some? Is that what you want? You know, you talk about people having a good time. You talk about people having a good time. These guys are having a good time, right? I mean, they're deep into their faith, and you got to look at the smiles on their face, right? And I look as an agnostic. I never take someone's faith away. Never do. Never take someone's faith away. That's someone's personal choice. And vice versa, the same thing with me. I don't need, but like, look at the smiles on these guys' faces. These are people who are, they are genuinely having a good time. They're together. Whether you agree with their beliefs or not, doesn't matter. They agree with all their beliefs, and I'm down with that. This old guy, he'd be like, what is the hierarchy of rabbis? They get something, right? But if your religion makes you feel like this, it's not a bad thing. If your religion makes you dance with a smile, I'm the first one that says it's a good thing. I'm the first one as an agnostic. And this one guy's on ephedrine. Yeah, this one, where is he? He's totally on ephedrine. Look at him. Fuck, he's just giving it. There's something really, here he is. Look at him. That's a better. Guys, that is, this. I wish if I was religious and I could be like that, like these guys. How do you do that? Wait, where am I? Yeah, with these, like, I would be religious just for those smiles and the stuff that these guys got, right? I don't know. I love it. It doesn't look like the dance moves are too hard to pick up. But honestly, I am not against religion like some people might think, with a channel called Godless Universe. I'm not. Shit, man, just have a good time and treat people right, and you're cool. And that includes people who do have faith to non-faith people and vice versa, right? But if your religion gives you a smile like that, and like, keep your religion, man. That's, you won't get me into it, but I'm telling you, that one guy was on ephedrine. Totally. He was on the ephedrine, aspirin, caffeine stack. I know that. He was fucking rocking. So, guys, Amazon. We just finished the Amazon segment. 600,000 jobs gone. Amazon. Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Avatar, Fire and Ash. So I just did I'm doing a 3-part video. I just released the first part, Avatar, on the space tech. Avatar, James Cameron, he's known even more so than Christopher Nolan. James Cameron does not mess with the science. He even 15 years after the second Terminator, when the truck goes off the edge, when it goes into I forgot that concrete. There was something that wasn't. I forgot what it was. He actually went back and re-edited it and changed it because the scientists, the guys, were saying, "Look, it wouldn't happen like this," and he changed it all. He is ferocious with science, and most people do not know what James Cameron did with Avatar and the way that the ships that go from Earth to Pandora, and then a Valkyrie that go down. It is. He spent so much time getting the physics right. There's no more realistic propulsion system in science fiction, more so than Avatar. I mean, to James Cameron, yeah. I have an itchy nose. It's oops, sorry. It really is. So because I just released. Oops. Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't want this. I love these. Come on. These guys are having fun, man. I don't think they would let me turn Jewish. Right? I don't think they would. Love it. I don't know, but hey, to the rabbis. So in Avatar, just released a video, and I want to go through the video. This is part 1 of a 3-part video, and Avatar propulsion Avatar. And let me set this up. So this is the first part of a 3-parter. The first part is the tech, and it's all different. The first part is the tech associated with going from Earth to Pandora. And I think, there's probably some people that are into Avatar, that are into, sci-fi, that the tech is deep for Avatar. Basically, James Cameron only uses the space tech at the beginning of the movies, but everything is well mapped out. The entire ships, the ISVs, interstellar vehicles, are extremely well designed based on real physics. There's really no cheating. And what James Cameron does is he establishes these ships going from Earth to Pandora in a way that is, it might be 200, 300, 400 years away from us being able to get there, but can we go 70% the speed of light? Based on James Cameron's idea, which is based on sound physics, yes.
Avatar, the blue Navi aliens and floating mountains steal most of the attention. But hidden in the background of the story is one of the most realistic interstellar propulsion designs ever created for a movie. James Cameron and his team didn't just invent a random FTL drive. They built the ISV Venture Star and its support craft using ideas that real physicists have actually discussed as a real possibility. This makes Pandora feel less like a magic sci-fi fantasy world and more like a place humanity might actually reach one day if we can solve some significant engineering problems. The one thing about Avatar is, and Avatar Fire and Ash is going to be a visual marvel. Franchises, like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings that started decades past, you can't achieve that kind of fandom. Although Avatar's got a huge fandom, these are movies that do billions. They put ass in seats. The diffusion of what is media is to a point where there's just everything is an echo chamber. Everything is its own echo chamber. People are so dispersed. But for one movie to still pull in billions, billions of dollars worth of
revenue, it's the only franchise. It's the only franchise that can do that.
Ship is the ISV Venture Star, a massive interstellar spacecraft.
I think that's 3.6 kilometers long. I believe that's the. It's not like I could look at someone and say, "Can you confirm that with me?" I mean, I could probably Google it quickly, but I'll put that in part 2.
That carries people and cargo between Earth and Pandora. This spaceship travels through space with a long truss, 2 big engine pods, and a large boxy payload. Venture Star isn't a rocket in the normal sense.
Every part of this ship, of this ship that you see, is there for a reason. And I go into each of these parts on this, 3.6 kilometer spaceship. This is probably what spaceships are going to look like. They're not going to look like Star Wars. They're not going to look like Star Trek. This is what spaceships are going to look like. And I break it down what each component of this spaceship is.
The big square structures at the front of the ship are actually the vehicle's folded sail. Huge laser arrays close to Earth fire at the reflective sail for months, slowly pushing the ship to around 70% of the speed of light.
See, that's the key thing. They don't use thrusters to get from Earth to Pandora. There's a sail and there's this massive laser set up, which is probably just off of Earth, but it would have to be gargantuan, huge, right? Huge. And it fires lasers to create a propulsion system for the spaceships. It's not propulsion. They use a propulsion method to slow down, but they use lasers to speed up.
That's what makes Avatar vastly different from other sci-fi propulsion systems. Getting to Pandora isn't about one ship. It requires an entire megastructure in space dedicated to blasting the sail with energy until it reaches cruising speed. It's an idea that comes straight from serious physics. Photons, which are the particles of light, have no mass, but they do carry momentum. Reflecting them off a mirror gives them a tiny push. With an enormous sail and a powerful enough laser, that tiny push can seriously add up. But a laser array that can accelerate a starship is not a small science project.
That would be, of course, that is, the people who are like, have a ferocity dealing with the warp drives. To create a warp drive, you need just such huge amounts of antimatter to be able to create enough energy to warp and bend space, and then to keep it bent. The only place that we really know that bends space-time to that degree is a black hole. And there's no way we are putting a saddle on a black hole and riding that baby, put that into the USS Enterprise. I don't know. Is there a limit to technology? Like, is there a ceiling where, boom, like, you know what? That is as far as tech gets. Do we hit a level of processor speeds that says you just cannot build a processor faster? You just can't, because it is a finite limit of the universe. We assume that technology is going to have endless bounds. Well, what if it's not? What if there is a ceiling? What if there is a threshold by which computers cannot get any faster? Or not computers, but the processing of information cannot get any faster. We don't know that, but there could be.
It would need to draw power on a scale of entire nations, perhaps even a significant percentage of today's total energy output.
So that is the main elements of James Cameron's spacecraft, what do you want to call it, the ISV. So there you have your thermal shields. Well, let's start at the back. The photo sails that pops open. You have the heat radiators, critical to dispersing heat, because if you don't have those heat radiators, basically the ship's going to melt midstream. The engines, then you got the propellant and your big canisters there, your thermal shields, you've got your truss. Your truss is what connects the whole thing. And you see in the back, you have all of your Your propulsion system is actually there to slow down. You might have to spend half of your time getting to 70% the speed of light, but you got to spend the other half slowing down. Do you know how fast that is? And it really gives you perspective that we've got to do all this just to get to the closest star in our vicinity. This is insane. Space is not meant for travel. But in the front, you got the cargo, the Valkyrie. Those are the ships that fly down. The truss, the habitation parts. Then you have the crew module. That one is the actual one that spins. The front shield. And those are basically all of your main components. And James Cameron, like, this is serious tech. He spent so much time perfecting this, and it uses real physics. Is it possible? Yes. There is nothing here that we should not be able to do given enough resources and the development of technology. That's the thing about Avatar. His tech works.
Of the entire planet. The heavy engines at the front of the ship are saved for slowing down as the ship nears Alpha Centauri and for maneuvering when it reaches Pandora. This is why the engines are in a tractor configuration, pulling the payload from the front instead of pushing it from behind. If the engines were at the back, the exhaust from the antimatter and fusion reactions would be thrust straight into the ship and most likely vaporizing it. By putting them forward on a boom and angling the exhaust outward, the designers direct that deadly blast cone safely away from the crew.
I mean, that is an amazing shot, right? This is from The Way of Water. Not the best movie. Screenplay as a screenwriter, I was a screenwriter. It was a bit blocky. Don't like blocky screenplays. It's like riding a truck. And imagine if it had like, an octagon wheel. Dunk, 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 dunk. It's kind of like dunk, 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 dunk. And I think that's why James Cameron took an extra year to. I think this one, Avatar: Fire and Ash may not inflation adjusted, but it may make a new record. I think it might make a new record because we are starved for something good in theaters.
Crew modules and cargo. That boom is another nice bit of realism in Avatar. The long spine is a tension truss made from advanced carbon nanotube composites. It is designed to be pulled, not pushed, like a rope stretched tight between the engines and the payload. Structures built for tension can be much lighter than ones built for compression, which matters when every extra kilogram makes your ship harder to accelerate. You can almost think of Venture Star as an interstellar truck, with the engines at the cab up front and the payload and modules at the back, as the trailer.
And that's a really important, distinction. Are you pulling or pushing? The system there's a reason why it's pulling the payload, not pushing it. And because there's actual physics associated with the conservation of energy, maximizing energy output in terms of getting and moving a significant load, even through space. I mean, it requires energy, a lot of energy, to get shit moved through space.
Engines themselves are a hybrid of matter-antimatter reactions and fusion power. In real physics, antimatter is the ultimate rocket fuel. When normal matter meets antimatter, they annihilate each other and turn almost completely into energy. Tiny amounts would be converted.
Now that probably could be the weakest part of James Cameron's propulsion system, the fact that there is a fusion component to his side, which is probably much more viable than the idea of antimatter. Because antimatter, we don't even know if it exists. We've seen it in tiny, tiny, minuscule pockets in the quantum realm, but we've never seen it in regular fare of space. How do you find, create, and store? You'd have to store antimatter in magnetic containers. But the idea of antimatter, we do not even know if antimatter exists to the degree that we would need it to create James Cameron's drive or a warp drive.
That would release an insane...
Or any other kind of drive. The idea is great. Matter, antimatter coming together to release an ungodly amount of energy. Oh, it sounds fantastic. It sounds fantastic. But we do not know if antimatter even exists or if it's even possible to contain antimatter.
An amount of power, far more than chemical rockets or even a fusion reactor. Cameron's team didn't ignore this fact. In the lore, humanity produces antimatter in orbit around Jupiter using huge fusion-powered factories, then loads it into Venture Star to feed its main engines.
So that's an interesting idea. They actually use fusion power. And of course, fusion power in itself is that's what the sun makes, right? Sun is a fusion reactor. But basically, it's like a stair step. So you need to create more energy. You want to input less energy than you get back. So if they're using fusion at Jupiter, so what you're basically going to wipe out Jupiter eventually, right? To create antimatter. But even the radiation around Jupiter will kill a human being in a matter of minutes. If you are in orbit within I don't know what it is, 150,000 miles of Jupiter, you will die within 4 or 5 minutes because the radiation is so intense around Jupiter. I don't know about if that's probably pretty close.
Fusion reactors generate energy and increase thrust by superheating the engine's propellant. Running engines and fusion reactors that powerful brings up another major problem that the design of the Venture Star quietly solves: waste heat. When you are dealing with that much energy, everything on the ship would eventually overheat.
And of course, and a big problem with waste heat in space is that there's not many particles in space, where it's easy to diffuse heat within our atmosphere. We have a very thick atmosphere, so molecules, we can dispense heat. But in space, you need a massive surface area to dispense that heat. Otherwise, the whole ship's just going to burn up and melt.
In space, the only way to dump heat is to radiate it away as infrared light, which means you need very big radiators. Many of the fins, panels, and struts on Venture Star can be read as radiator surfaces, spreading hot coolant out so it can glow its heat away into the void.
You can see those are the big red things in the back. Those are and these are just, surface area. You need surface area to try and get rid of that heat. Because the one thing, the byproduct of energy is heat. It's the law of thermodynamics. You can't not get away from it. That's just the way the universe works. It's why Iron Man doesn't work. You just can't have a burning thing of energy there. His whole chest would be wiped out. But of course, that's superhero stuff. But James Cameron was pretty thorough on his design. Very thorough. But anyway, those are the heat radiators.
It's not flashy, but a real ship would absolutely need something similar, or it would slowly cook itself to destruction. Another threat comes from outside the ship.
This is crazy. Listen to this. This is crazy.
A 1 milligram grain of dust hitting the spaceship at 70% of light speed would be equivalent to about 8.6 tons of TNT.
1 milligram. 1 milligram at 70% the speed of light. Now, granted, that's pretty fast. Is equivalent to 8.6 tons of TNT. This ship hits 1 milligram of space dust. And of course, in this design, James Cameron actually does have ways to mitigate against this. But these are very real concerns with space travel. How the frick are we going to travel through space if we hit 1 milligram of dust at 70% the speed of light and it turns into 8.6 tons of TNT? I don't even get how space travel even works for us.
The interstellar medium is thin, but it isn't empty. The Valkyrie starship concept that inspired Venture Star includes sacrificial shields and dust bumpers at the front to soak up those impacts before they reach the important parts of the ship. The Avatar movie design hints at a similar protection system, with the light sail doubling as a kind of shield during acceleration, and various plates at the nose guarding the more fragile truss and payload.
I mean, you gotta see, this is a good-looking spaceship, right? I mean, they have just thought of everything. It is a good-looking spaceship in the sense that every part is functional. And then you got the two Valkyries, right? They fly down into the... And they got their entirely own propulsion system. I mean, James Cameron did not fuck around in putting this thing together. It's impressive. It is by far the most viable of any sci-fi propulsion systems that we can eventually, get to or develop.
The movie also acknowledges relativistic effects. At around 70% of light speed, time dilation becomes important. Time for the crew on the ship passes more slowly than time back on Earth. In Avatar, the trip to Alpha Centauri takes about 6.7 years from Earth's point of view. But the crew of the Venture Star experience a shorter time frame, just under 5 years.
I started this, I started tonight's show with this question. It's a big question. Would you go to Pandora? Would you go to Pandora knowing, let's say if you go to Pandora and back. Yeah, and I get into the idea of relativistic. You basically save 2 years, so call it 4.5 years getting there if you're on the ISV, or it's going to be like 6.7 years back on Earth. So relativistic speed, because you're going 0.7 times the speed of light, time goes by faster. But if you go there and back, and you're going to be asleep for the whole thing, you're going to lose 8 years of your life, 9 years of your life. Sorry, I thought I was Katy Perry for the sec. I couldn't do 4.5 times 2. I said, don't. At least I didn't hit the laugh part, right? But would you go on a trip knowing that you would waste 12 years of your life in cryosleep? Would you go? Because you're still aging, right? The 4.5 years to get there, even though it's 6.7 years on Earth, is 4.5 years for you. Either you get there and stay there, but if you want to come back, it's another 4.5 years. So you would lose 12% of your life in sleep. Would you do it?
The movie uses a cryosleep system. The passengers lie frozen for most of the journey. From a technical point of view, it's almost part of the propulsion system. If you can put everyone into suspended animation, you don't need to haul as much food, water, or air, and significantly cut down on living space.
And that's a big deal, right? If people are sleeping, you don't need basketball courts. You don't need, what was the movie? Passengers with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, which was kind of an interesting movie. I mean, I think the real horror would be, and I'm a screenwriter, and I kind of think of this stuff as is there something there? If you're like, you see Sam Worthington Jake Sully coming out of his sleep pod, what if you wake up? It's a 5-year trip, and what if you wake up 2 years early, and you can't get back to sleep, and the pod's not opening, and you're stuck in this pod? What happens? You're stuck. In Passengers, they woke up, 90 years early or 97 years earlier or something like that? What if you're stuck in your pod? I don't know. I mean,
Freezing the crew is how you cheat the life support side of the equation, so the engines can focus on pushing cargo, not transporting a massive city. But there are other lethal aspects to traveling through interstellar space.
That is a tube where, obviously everyone is asleep. It is a fascinating. So we take these things for granted when we see them on TV in the theaters. Although we can see the stuff on TV now, right? Obviously, the TV has become VFX have become a few hits of a computer, keyboard. But it's interesting to think. You look down this massive tube, and I don't know how many people are asleep. There's probably hundreds, I would imagine, hundreds. these are complicated systems. But again, you put people to sleep, you don't need as much food, water, you don't need basketball courts, you don't need all these things to keep people entertained for almost 5 years. I think it's 4.6 years. You got to put people to sleep but then again, now there's no way that tomorrow I'm doing a show. Tomorrow, the idea of putting people to sleep, cryosleep. We don't know how to do it. There's no technology that allows cryosleep to happen.
That need attention. If you look closely at the Venture Star, the long truss separating engines, payload, and crew isn't just a cool-looking style choice. In any drive based on antimatter and fusion, intense radiation is a major problem for organic life. Gamma rays and high-energy particles pour out of the exhaust. You don't want your people or your sensitive cargo anywhere near it, so the engines sit far out on a boom. The crew modules and cargo containers are placed behind them, with lots of empty structure in between. That distance, along with shielding, gives the people on board a chance to survive multiple trips.
I mean, the visuals with Avatar and what James Cameron has done are pretty amazing, right? He's thought the science through. Are there a few leaps? Yeah, but there's no leaps like, Star Wars or Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica or anything like that. These are things that are possible. Antimatter is probably the biggest question. But what James Cameron has done with his starships, getting from Earth to Pandora or the Alpha Centauri system, is within the realm of doability.
Engines that are positioned away from the main structure with the payload at the opposite end. Interstellar travel is treated as slow, heavy, and expensive. Each trip requires huge preparation and energy, maintaining the idea of just how hard space travel really is. It also sets up the mood of the story. If you zoom out, you realize Venture Star is not a one-off experiment. In the background lore, there is an entire fleet of ISVs, each one on its own years-long path between Earth and Pandora.
One of the things that I find really hard to believe, yes, I mean, they talk about the Earth is dying in Avatar, but I find it hard to believe that humans would come to this absolutely gorgeous, pristine planet and land ships that they weigh. I think James Cameron really, he does not do humanity a service, whether it's for economic reasons or not, right? I just do not think, the scenes that are coming up, I'll just play it.
That long pipeline explains why the RDA thinks in decades.
That is wiping out square miles of this planet, right? Landing an ISV like this is wiping out huge swaths, destroying animal life. It is uber destructive, at least the way James Cameron is positioning it. The gravity is not as big. It's a smaller moon. What is it? Gravity is 35%, kind of like Mars compared to Earth. I don't know if humanity or humans would create landing crafts that absolutely annihilates the ground below it for thousands of square miles.
Not months. And why losing even one ship would be such a huge financial loss. Even with all its realism, Avatar still has to cheat in some areas. The sheer amount of antimatter required for repeated trips would be staggering. Building and powering the laser array that pushes the light sail would be a planetary scale project. But that's the good kind of science fiction cheating. The movie doesn't break the fundamental laws of physics. It assumes that future engineers solve problems we haven't cracked yet, using technologies that grow naturally from things we already understand, in theory.
The antimatter is going to be a problem. The antimatter is a problem. Most of the aspects of what James Cameron is putting together, at least compared to any other, it's not FTL, faster than light. It's 70% the speed of light. We don't even know if warps can work. It still breaks the laws of physics. Is the universe going to allow space-time to be bent so that you can travel through the universe under this concept that, well, the ship is still, but you're going to travel through the universe at multiple warp speeds beyond 2, 3, 4,000 times the speed of light. What a lot of physicists say is that the universe will not allow it. There are laws in place, regardless of how much we love the idea of Star Trek. We love the idea of developing warp drives. We love all this stuff. The universe will just not allow it. The stuff that James Cameron does with the Venture Star, it's doable. It's maybe doable, except for maybe the antimatter, which we don't know exists, so we can create antimatter in any amounts that are viable. We don't know. But James Cameron's definitely got the closest sci-fi movie solution that we can emulate.
But we have only talked about the journey from Earth to Pandora, the return leg, and what it means for the people who choose to leave Pandora behind comes with its own massive problems. Engineers in the sci-fi world of Avatar had to solve these major obstacles, which we investigate in part 2 of James Cameron's Avatar propulsion systems. This is a godless universe.
So that is the video we just released today, and it's all about it's all about, okay, we gotta stop this. About Avatar and the propulsion system that James Cameron uses with Avatar Fire and Ash coming out 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks, right? December 19th. It's probably one of the least talked about things in the movies. They don't really talk about the whole propulsion system, but behind the scenes, James Cameron did not dawdle. He created serious tech that makes sense in moving these ships from Earth to Pandora. Of course, you could ask the question, well, I forgot the name of the gas giant that the moon Pandora goes around. The star, Alpha Centauri, is slightly bigger than our star. It's a main sequence star. It's a yellow star in a binary system. The whole system is a 3-star system. Most star systems are more than one star. Ours is an anomaly. It's quite interesting. But anyway, that is, I think James Cameron does some really interesting things, some things that make sense, some things that you can take a look at from the, if you're a science fiction lover, you got to look at the tech that James Cameron put together. And there are so many things, resources in putting this video together. And like I say, this is a 3-part video for me. There are so many rabbit holes that I have yet to go down on the second and the third video, but I just released the first video, from going from Earth to Pandora and the space tech involved with that. I love making video. But anyway, that was released today, guys. That was released today. So did I cover everything? I got everything today. It's Thanksgiving week, guys. It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving. Well, I guess if you're in America, it's Thanksgiving. So anyway, that is our show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please come back. We got a lot more coming tomorrow, Monday through Thursday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, every week. A Godless Universe. I'm Danny Alex, and I thank you for visiting. I will see you tomorrow.
Now I used to kind of see this shit
children, let's take our seats.
Yeah, baby.
We'll do it live. F*** it.